All right, Scorpio risings, you're up. Welcome back to Commerce Astrology. My name's Liv. If you have Sun or Moon in Scorpio, this also can apply to you, just in a different way, your personality or your emotions. Okay, so Scorpio risings, Uranus and Gemini. What a time. So right now, we are looking at how this transit is affecting you with that 8th house. It's a lot. I think the biggest reason why I say it's a lot is because that's all you guys ever know. A lot. A lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of everything under the sun that maybe isn't fair to you in your life. You guys go through some shit. I'm not gonna lie. You guys go through a lot. And it sucks, in my personal opinion. But I think a big part of why you decided to be this is to probably fix something. Some sort of thing that doesn't have balance in the lives of other people, and mostly, hopefully, in your own personal life. I go into that because every time I do readings for Scorpio risings, I always focus on this part of their chart first. I know it sounds crazy. Why would you not focus on the other placements? It's because of, I feel like this part of the chart really sets up the whole chart. And starting off with the 12th house in Libra, wanting to so badly be the center of everything. And, this is just me being straightforward with you. You cannot be the peg that holds everyone's life together. And I think that's why you guys chase extremes and you go for things that are daring and bold, and you say what needs to be said because you're the person that's going to make the lifestyle choice to bring the uniqueness and quirkiness from your own traumas and things that you probably haven't addressed, and you're fighting it. So then you look to create stable friendships that you still, at the same time, once you get them, you decide to make more and more, because you're really just trying to spread love, and your desire is to still be someone that has brought the spotlight and the simple nature of living by creating balance. Isn't that fun? That is the way I see you guys. Now, outside of that, why is this important considering what's coming? Uranus in Taurus has been sitting in your 7th house. So since I think 2017. Why is this not taking pictures? Hello? Since 2017, Uranus sitting in that house. It's just kind of like, it's just kind of like made you guys even more of a rebel, in my opinion, because it opposes your first, and then, if you're not a whole sign first house and you have some Scorpio in your 12th, it's even more. It's changing a lot. It's been doing a lot. Jupiter leaving Gemini would have kind of showed you a lot more of what I'm saying when it comes to the fact that you're looking for those multitude of connections, and it's doing a lot. It's honestly a lot. And I think that Jupiter going through Gemini when it was here in 2023 to whatever probably made you guys broke from like a sheer amount of adventures for yourself, which is fine. But given the fact that Pluto has always been in your 3rd, there is a decay in your mentality that now has to be rebirthed from the idea that everything has to be so straightforward. Like, you can have emotions, you can trust again by rebuilding that home. So as Pluto is sitting here and Uranus is now trining this, 2 very important things come to part. First and foremost, I think the chaos factor doesn't have to be a thing. And I think the chaos factor doesn't have to be a thing because it's going to force your 12th house to kind of be independent of randomness that you seek from friendships and the way that you look to be perfect in the social circle and the career that you have, your identity. Like, it's so much pressure that you put on yourself that I don't think that has to be a thing anymore. And Uranus will show you that by giving you more research. Scorpio risings are naturally going to be drawn to the darkness, not even because of their rising sign alone being Scorpio, but I think it's because of the 3rd house and the 8th house and the 11th. This weird trifecta, I think that'd be like a yacht or some shit. I don't know. The 8th house is the researcher with Gemini. It's going to go into the darkness, and then the 11th house is going to find a way to compartmentalize, or better yet, make a caricature or a stereotype of human beings based upon their habits. And then the third house is, especially since Capricorn was just in Pluto, that third house is where it all comes apart. It's like, fuck people, humans suck, XYZ, things is shit, and it's just like a bunch of cursing, a bunch of side-eyeing, and a bunch of like, I don't know you, I don't trust you, get away from me type of energy that will come from this. So I'm not telling you to turn around and be all kumbaya. However, Jupiter in Cancer would have probably told you to travel, preferably alone, to be honest, and make sure that you are loving what it is that you're doing. The moment that you are compromising anything else but yourself with this Jupiter transit, it's going to bite you in your ass. Like, you could get hurt. You can get so many things, because Saturn still being in that fifth, like right now, anyway, I'm sure it's going to move out of it. But Saturn is the biggest reason why I think so. It's going to be like, I need you to delegate yourself to experience something that is bliss by yourself, right? It's removing the facade. And that's why I say by yourself, because if you do it with other people, that's where I think the danger would come into, where it's like you're realizing people actually aren't your friend, or they're crazy, or they're psychotic, or God forbid they try to kill you or something shit, because Jupiter here is having a trine to your first house. And it's not Jupiter doing that. It's the third house in Capricorn, because it's doing everything in its possession to keep the hierarchy and the mentality that things have to be that way. So the way I see this come about is like, the transit doesn't have to be an event. It could literally be a person, a relationship, a movie. Like, something can happen that fundamentally shakes you. And specifically in the third house, I think it would be like, an alter ego or some sort of like event like that, where it really changes that perception. But you guys really are going to need to spend that time alone. And that's why I'm like, traveling abroad by yourself would be like really cool, right? Or maybe with a loved one that you trust, right? The scientist, now so used to compartmentalizing people, as Uranus comes in, it's going to bring more of that. So I think Uranus does a really good job here by breaking away 3rd and 11 and just making everything seem so big, making everything seem so like, now at the hour of my death, I'm finding out that my belief in XYZ religion, or that there are multiple realities, and I've been wrong this entire time, and I have 2 years left to live. I now have to be so extreme to find out the answers, or accept the unknown is forever unknown, and it's endless. Those very two extreme rifts is where I think the two parts of Gemini are going to show you. It might, I will say, if you have this placement, just like I told the 12th house Gemini people, like, it's psychosis adjacent, just because the sheer amount of shit that happens will be kind of probably in line with your life as is, right? But instead of it being just a causality of this 12th house, it's purely 8th house Scorpio stuff. So it's like, I've seen, I don't know why, but I've seen several Scorpio risings basically be inducted into a cult at a young age, whether it's their parents that have a legacy that they want them to live off of, and they don't get seen as a normal life, that 4th, 10th house, or just simply like people think that they're the useful person to be in the cult, because the Taurus rising descendant doesn't necessarily just mean that they're looking for a peaceful partnership, but it also means that two peaceful people, they symbolize the chaos and the break that they might get taken advantage of and put in that situation. It's like what's the thing where they say people are convenient? The token XYZ. Yeah, there you go. That's where that would be used as. And so they kind of got a lot of stuff. It's not a walk in the park at all. And I understand. However, now at this impasse, this is as far as I can get you. You know, I'm sorry that I can't just be like, oh yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen. But I'm trying to avoid that with these Uranus transits because I don't fucking know. And I'm not going to say any astrologer that tells you they know is wrong. But I think that someone would have to intuitively give you a reading, like you personally, and look at your placements and then have as well a connection to your energy. Because giving a mass thing, like reading for Gemini, Uranus and Gemini is like, you know, I could tell you the technology, the innovation. I've said that before in the other risings, but I'm just like, this Uranus and Gemini in the 8th house, you know, this is like anarchy, or you just divert to Christianity, or there's so much depth here because you're taking something that usually is surface level, but then it can drive home if there are Sag placements in the native's chart. And then you're now adding this element of, I just want to break free, trining the Pluto from the 4th. And it just messes up with the whole chart. So this is this is like the true definition of disruptor, I think. Uranus at its finest would want to be exalted in Scorpio because it can completely give itself the full depth of, you know, hell to everyone. And it can completely commit to breaking apart the world, the order, etc., etc. I don't believe that's an official agreed upon thing. I just kind of notioned that based upon, first of all, I've seen it online. I've seen the idea and I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. But when you really sit with it, it makes even more sense because Uranus is not here to bring peace. It's actually just here to destroy. And it's not negative, right? But if you think of a lightning bolt, oh God, that's a horrible lightning bolt. A lightning bolt is severing what would be two spaces that would have been co-joined together, and it's bringing them away. Like that's the actual process of doing it, getting into the chemistry of it. And Uranus on its own, like I love watching astrology videos, and an astrologer that I just recently saw, let me see if I can pull up the YouTube channel because I don't just want to quote someone, you know, without giving them props, because, you know, I think that's messed up. But in astrology, her channel is called TSL Astrology, and she like writes stuff. And I was watching her Uranus video and I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought of this. Uranus is like two faces of a Joker. Like this would be face A and face B. And then, you know, you're choosing the path here. I've always looked at Uranus like this is to be some sort of Thor Warhammer that you like hold and you decide which side you want to chop, right? And that's where like the idea of Aquarius is basically Uranus on both sides to me of like Capricorn and Aquarius, where it's like, are we going to use our power to continue corruption, or are we going to use it to break free? But it's ultimately a snake eating itself, like a cycle. And I said the Joker analogy because the Joker's just here to create chaos. Like he doesn't give a fuck, you know, like I think that's the thing. Whenever I used to watch Batman, it'd be like creating chaos. So when I look at Uranus in the 8th and Gemini, like that's that Scorpio energy where it's like, it's just here to destroy. At least Scorpio will want to be reborn again. But Uranus at its core, even with the whole analogy of Gaia, like this man was not content. So it's going to keep going. And I think that's the one warning I would give to you guys. No matter what it is that you're now completely rebranding to, or you're now deciding that I don't want to do this anymore, whatever it is, just be mindful, you know, try to find some sort of balance for yourself so it doesn't bring you to the deep end and then you can't pull yourself away from that, you know. That's pretty much it though. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great transit. I hope this changes you in the best way possible and it frees you from whatever. And yeah, take care.